Good morning. Hand today is going to be Queen Jack of Spades. So in this hand, we have a pre-flop raiser from mid position. I call, button calls, big blind calls. So three of us take the pot. This player's playing 28-10 overall. When we look at his numbers, it's looking like mid position raise is about 18% or so. Raise first in is 13%. That's 2 out of 16. Then this is 7 out of 38. So I think we're probably. Oh, he does limp too, so I think we're probably at around like the 12% range, maybe 11, 10%, and that looks something like this. This is 12.2%. Maybe he doesn't have those and brings down to 6, but something like this, I think is going to be his range. My range, 3-bet or call, looks something like this. I know he's going to have a fairly tight range. Queen Jack's going to be kind of at the low end of his range. We don't know how he'd respond to a raise, but looking behind us, I really only have one player that seems to be loose, and that's a small blind, over 28 hands. So yeah, I could raise and isolate, or I can take this down, call, see what I get. I'll likely be in position. I'm not if this guy calls, which he did, but usually in the cutoff, we can oftentimes get into position with the call here, and of course our hand is decent. So I'm going to go with the 3-bet call range. So this one is going to be my calling range. This next guy's got 23-16. When we look at his stats, he definitely plays more often in the button. 2 out of 5, 0 out of 2. This is the first time he's called from the button. Overall, we only have 44 hands on him. I'm going to look at this as saying he's probably going to have something decent. And we're looking at something maybe like this. It does look like he's got a 6% 3-bet range, which is 1 out of 16. I'm going to assume he would be raising something like 10s plus, ace queen, ace jack suited, king queen suited. Maybe something like this. I think this is a good spot to be raising. This is a 10 NL game. This is at ACR, so I do expect some of these players to be raising that. We're at 29%. This is probably too loose. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of narrow it down a little bit and say, with me calling, I think he's going to be a little bit tighter. So this might be something more along the lines of what he might have. We'll keep the 9, 7, 10, 8, so 18%, something a little bit tighter. The button calls, he's playing 12-10 over 2,000 hands. This guy's a tight player. I don't think he's just going to call because he's getting good odds. He's calling because he has something. I give him suited aces. I give him pocket pairs. I give him suited broadways, and some of these offsuit broadways just to see how he does. And that's 13%, so you can just see even in the big blind, he only plays about 11%. I'm at 14%. Might be a little high, but if we think about what other hands does he get rid of, it could be the suited aces. It could be these, these hands that he gets rid of. So we see a flop. Flop comes down, queen, jack, jack, hits us hard. At this point, we probably have all of the deck. All of the deck covered. I think here I'm not folding, that's for sure. I think villain checks, he bets, so we're gonna see, that's his bet. What is he gonna be betting? Now I do think he's probably gonna be betting a lot of his hands, and he could be betting everything. His c-bet stats actually pretty high, 50%, well 100%. Out of position, 3 out of 3, 50%, 1 out of 2 when he's in position. I think you're looking at probably all of those draws, open enders, gut shots, probably your pocket pairs, probably your ace high, so maybe just 100% of his cards. And then it comes back to us. What do we do? And I think this is going to be hard not to raise. He bet half pot. There's 4 players in the pot. I do think straights are going to be calling. I think any jack is going to be calling. I think ace, queen, king, queen is going to be calling now. I think it's one of these hands where if I just call and the turn, comes a 2 or a 3, it's going to be hard for me to get some money, any more money. People are going to start to be suspicious. I think the queens are going to probably they'll consider folding at that point. So what hands do we raise? Quads, full house. I also think 3 of a kind. We're raising those. Oops. Get these. All right, so yeah, we're looking at 3 of a kind plus. I think open-ended straight could be kind of used for balance. I think we're getting here. Maybe not all 3 of a kinds. Maybe Jack 10. With Jack 10, we've got blockers. Yeah, nah, it's still. I think it's something like this. I think that's going to be our raising range, and that's what I did. I raised. We had 1 call, so what we're gonna do? We know this guy folded, so he's probably has one of those junkers, and we know the tight player folded, so he could have ace-x suited under pairs again. But this guy called, the button called, which what kind of hands are going to call this? And this isn't just a regular 2-bet. He called a raise, or he did. It's not just a regular c-bet. He called a raise. So I think that's going to be a little bit stronger. I'm going to say top pair, open ender, maybe the gut shot. I think maybe the gut shot, if we color that in, something like that. And it's still 50%. So we got a nice call there. 2 of clubs, just kind of what I was saying. Had I just called here, 2 clubs not going to improve. And I think it puts jacks in a tough spot. So because we would be raising, or what I think we should be raising with jacks, we should be also raising with queens, queens full, jacks full of queens, that sort of thing. So now it's on us. I do think we continue betting. I think we continue betting 3 of a kind. I think at this point, maybe Jack 10 we don't. I think it's questionable. Maybe we sometimes do it. Maybe like 60%. I think Ace Jack 2. Let's get these. I think that's going to be what we play. So we're going to be leading again. We've got good hands. We improved. Just a little with that 10-9, but I think we lead. Pot's 50. We've got 85 left. Could possibly just go ahead and shove it. Hope he calls. And what are we hoping he calls with? I think if we raise, we know he's always going to call with full house. I think probably 3 of a kind is what he's going to call with, and that's why I think the Jack 10. You could see 3 of a kind. He's going to have us beat. At this point, if I just shove, I don't think top pair is going to call unless he thinks we're bluffing. But I think flush draw and the open ender is probably going to be calling. So we're at 54%. We're really, I think we're splitting it. I don't think with my hand we're losing to queens. So I think he's calling 50%. So I do think we're betting. We should be betting. So I bet half pot, and I don't know, maybe betting more is better. I think at this point the half pot is starting to seem more like maybe we're on our draw ourselves. We did our raise and now we bet half pot. I think obviously if I saw this, that's kind of what I would think is that I'm on a draw. That's why I didn't just shove. I think if I shoved, it kind of looks like a jack. It's looking to fold out everything. So we get a call with the plan of just shoving, and it'll be a little bit, almost a half pot bet size. So Queen of clubs comes out, and that's probably a bad card. Bad card for me. Any of the straight draws are gonna fold. Flush draws made it though, so there's potential. But I'm still gonna continue betting. This is I think at this point we're not betting the flush. I think with full house we're betting our strong full houses. Probably also betting the weak full houses. Because now we're probably splitting. I don't think villain was calling with like ace queen king queen. I just don't. And we don't really have any sort of balance, so that would be that 10-9 that we could throw in there if we think villain was on a straight or flush draw. Now you could see if he calls with flush plus, that's 65%. He's folding 35%. I think we have too many bluffs at this point. So, I don't even think we could bet with all of them, but I do think we continue betting with our full house, which is what I did. And he calls. So now once he calls, I think it's my guess is the week he has a jack with all the betting that went on. I think I'm narrowing his range down to some sort of jack. So we see it. He shows King Jack. King Jack was in his range, and I took down this pot. So that was actually pretty good. So let's go ahead and take some notes. He overcall 3 big blind. Let's see here. This will be low jack overcall, low jacks 3 big RFI on button with King of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds. He is in position called. Ooh. What was that bet size? He bet half, and then I raised it up to 16. 30. So it's about call. So he call 50% raise. I think this would be an overcall. 50% raise, and then he call 50% and call 50% on a. Let's go to the river. Queen of diamonds, jack of clubs, jack of hearts, 2 of clubs, queen of clubs. All right, so I think this is okay. The only question was that turn. Is the overbet better than half pot bet? And I think that's something we could probably go ahead and run. So let's do that. So as we run the GTO, we're gonna have to pull up, the turn. Where are we on the turn? Like we have the flop. I think these are the flop ranges for us, for both of us. So I'm gonna put in these ranges. We're gonna key in basically check on the flop just so we can get to the turn. So I'll get this set up and check out the answers, see what GTO tells us. All right, so I think I did it correctly. So we've got our ranges. That is what our ranges are on basically when we called the flop. So we went check, and then we had the 2 of clubs here, and now it's our decision. What do we do? Half pot, overbet, and it looks like half pot is what we're looking at, and we are basically betting half pot with 100% of our range. We do have a couple, like 10-9 of hearts that now chooses to check, but it looked like we made the right play with that half pot bet. He calls, and then we get a queen of clubs on here. So I'm going to go back to his call. His call should be 3 of a kind, but he should also be raising some of that as well. I'm not sure how many people would actually do that. So once he calls, then we're just shoving, 50% of the time. It looks like Queen Jack is betting, right? So Queen Jack. So we actually had it. So we bet. He calls. Yep. We're betting our full houses mostly. Looks like 55, 45. I mean, I guess if we check and he bet, we're calling with all of those. Usually folding or flush, and I think that's probably what I would be doing. But we're betting, our hand, and then villain's calling. You should be calling with all of those. So it does look like I played it correctly. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.